this is very important for brands. If brands don't actually understand social media and they don't have a comprehensive strategy to have a presence, an active role in social media, in a few years they could be invisible.
We are just a week and a day away from Marketing Now, Wellington, April 15th and 16th. I hope to see you there. iJump's been really glad to be involved with this. One of the speakers is DraftFCB's Stephen Johnson, and he's going to be speaking about building brand advocates. I had the privilege of having a chat with Stephen and getting a sneak preview of what he'll be talking about. Here he is.
I'm talking about building brand advocates in social media, looking at the whole context of brands innovating and changing to adapt to the new era of media that we're facing, and really to address some of the challenges that they find in how to participate. Social media creates a new context for brands, and that is one of intimacy with consumers that was not possible before. And so,
is that a little uncomfortable for some brands?
It's very uncomfortable for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's forcing transparency, and some organisations just aren't cut out for that. But it's really, I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity. I mean, there's probably never been a more exciting time for businesses and brands to have that kind of dialogue.
Sure.
In terms of empowering their customers and the people that consume their content, as well as learning from the people that they have relationships with, about how to make their brands more relevant.
Right.
And it's this lovely cycle of co-creation, and I call it perpetual innovation. It's something that just continues to innovate and change. We're seeing a lot of campaigns now with social content included in them, and not just a blog strategy. I think over the last 12 months a real respect for bloggers has emerged, and an insight from marketers particularly and businesses that bloggers can't be kind of coerced into selling products and things like that. They realise, businesses are finally realising the democratic nature of social media, but some of the types of campaigns that are focused on communities and leveraging or really driving that co-creation context, it's really exciting to see that, because I think that actually creates more of a compelling story than anything else when you involve a consumer in shaping the outcome.
It's almost like improv theatre, where you're kind of getting the audience to participate in the play.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's scary.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, I often get asked, is it dangerous? Is social media dangerous for our brand? Is losing control? That whole control issue comes up a lot because of the whole trust context has digitised over the last few years. I talk a lot about economies of trust having shifted from institutions to communities, and how word of mouth is more important than ever. And I encourage, part of my role is to really walk with clients on that journey to firstly identify what the opportunities are. What does the social media scenario look like for their brand and their business? How can they best make use of that exchange with a real person? And it is really the power of one.
Being kind of agency side and not client side, a lot of it is much more than what a marketing department used to do. It's kind of reaching right into the heart of the organisation. How's that going?
That's a brilliant question. It's a challenge because you see everyone's dirty laundry, and when we start, or we're approached to actually look at a social media initiative for a client, it addresses a whole lot of stuff, everything from corporate culture through to the communications architecture, to how what is actually relevant, how would we resource the practical aspects of who's going to be on the other end of the dialogue. You know, so we often we often find that it requires training. We have to train our clients to actually what their role is and how they actually participate. That kind of comes back to what I was saying earlier about empowerment and actually looking at what that, or defining that exchange. But yeah, it's certainly very interesting. Social media is not something you switch on and off.
Yeah.
You know, and anything you say can and will be used against you. And it's literally, and that's why I think that's why brands are so nervous about getting into that space. Because
it's such a commitment.
It's out there forever, and it is a huge commitment.
Yeah.
It takes time. It has to be part of an ongoing and evolving strategy for a business.
Can you name any names of who's doing it well in Australia or New Zealand?
We did a really great, exciting project with Kraft last year in Australia. We ran the first ever ambassador program in Australia to launch a food product. And we identified the most influential bloggers in Australia around a key set of influence, and looking at nutritionists, looking at people sharing recipes, and we built out this ambassador program and thought that, well, it was designed to be a closed feedback program, like a virtual feedback program.
So how do you mean, like a closed community?
We built a like a destination for people to log into.
Right. Yeah.
And it was designed as a groundswell program 2 months before the launch.
Right.
Well, we had like thousands of people unsolicited hit the site, hearing about it through the groundswell, and it really made Kraft aware of how ripe the opportunities are. Freaked them out a little bit because they were, as an organisation, they're not used to, I guess, having that level of interface. But it's been really exciting for them, and now social media is becoming a really big part of what they do.
When people hear you at Marketing Now, can they expect a sort of 3 steps to creating brand ambassadors, or is it a bit more complicated than that?
Look, definitely I'm going to do everything I can to, in the hour and a half that I have, to equip people with a process that will help them at least to comprehend what's involved. I really think social media has this daunting, I guess because of the transparency aspect of it, there's a lot of fear associated with it, and for brands, I mean, that it's the how. We know, or some don't know. I mean, part of the role that we play is we help them identify who's saying what and where that's influential and why it's relevant to them, and then we show them how to act accordingly, how to respond, and what kind of actions evolve out of the insight. I was reading some amazing stats a couple of weeks ago around the actual category of social media and how it now dominates roughly 16% of total worldwide time online. And 2.5 years ago, it was a category that wasn't even measured in that context. So I mean, if that gives us any idea of brand adoption and how important it is, and if we look at predictive context and then go, okay, this is very important for brands. If brands don't actually understand social media and they don't have a comprehensive strategy to for their brand to have a presence, an active role in social media, in a few years they could be invisible. And that's where I think it's all going.
Okay, there he was, Stephen Johnson. You can also find him on Twitter at @Huxley. So he's going to be one of the speakers among many, including Chris Brogan and David Meerman Scott, and also Sharon Cross, who we saw last week. So love to see you there. Marketing Now, go to marketingnow.co.nz, April 15th and 16th, Wellington, right here in New Zealand. Looking forward to seeing you then. This is Simon from iJump signing off, saying see you next time.